east of the 405 freeway. If he does that again, that will provide law enforcement with the potential to set up for a spike strip. You saw that unit right there waiting at the intersection there. They don't have enough units to block traffic here, and there's considerably more traffic here in West LA, especially in the last week as some businesses have opened up their doors once again. But you can see excessive speed, 60 miles per hour down Sepulveda Boulevard, paralleling the 405 freeway, picking up a lot more speed here with nobody in his way. And as we've seen numerous times already, willingness to blow through these red lights and stop signs, just creating for a very, very stressful situation. It's just a matter of time. He is bound to get somebody hurt if he continues driving like this. Slowing down for this one here. This is going to be Olympic Boulevard at Sepulveda. And once again, one final westbound turn that'll either put him on the 405 freeway or he will go under the 405 freeway. We will see. There he goes, right under the freeway, and he will come out the other side here.
And Chris, this started about an hour ago with this van reported stolen. It's a Mercedes van, and it was a lot safer when it was on the freeways. And this going through these surface streets in Westwood at a time when people are wanting to get the last hours or last seconds of daylight, it's a pretty dangerous situation.
Yeah, you know, it's got all the ingredients of a really troublesome and dangerous police pursuit, because you have obviously a disturbed driver behind the wheel driving very recklessly, showing very little regard for anybody in his way. You see folks crossing these crosswalks. There are people out this evening, and he is it's so easy for him to accelerate around some of this traffic and accidentally hit somebody, especially if he's showing no regard for any of the stop signs and red lights. That's a red flag, especially near residential neighborhoods like this, especially mixed neighborhoods where you have some retail businesses, restaurants, and again, lots of residential communities along his route here as he continues down. This is going to be Sawtelle Boulevard that he's coming down here, and at probably, I would say, close to double the speed limit.
Yeah, so we saw him at 80 miles per hour in Sepulveda, at about 75 miles per hour on Sawtelle. There is no room for error when you're driving at that kind of speed with traffic and pedestrians out in the streets. That's why this could be extremely dangerous if he continues on this way. And Chris, I've seen him a number of times. He ran red lights going into oncoming traffic at times as well. It's hard to tell. Sometimes we can tell if they are familiar with the area. In this case, though, he did avoid the freeway, so clearly he wanted to stay in surface streets, but does it appear that he knows this area? That's the question.
The way he's moving, it feels like these turns are very random. They're very last-minute decisions, and that's concerning for a different reason, because as you watch him make some of these wild turns in a top-heavy vehicle like that van he's driving right there, if he doesn't know where he's going, and I don't think he does, he seems to be kind of just traversing this neighborhood with very random turns, making it up as he goes along, and that is a recipe for taking a turn way too fast in a top-heavy van like this that could absolutely provoke him to lose control. So far, you're right, David. He's shown remarkable composure here and ability to, and competence, I should say, to maintain control of the vehicle. But when you're driving at these speeds, especially on narrow streets, it's all too easy to make a mistake.
Opportunities to get on the freeways we've seen just in the last few minutes, but you mentioned the fact that perhaps he's looking for a place to ditch this van, because otherwise he would have just gotten on the freeway to try to get away.
That's what it seems like, and the fact that they have backed off this pursuit, it's technically still in tracking mode. You would hope, their hope obviously, is that it takes the pressure off him a little bit, lets him catch his breath a little bit, and hopefully ease off of the gas pedal. But to the contrary, we're seeing continued very dangerous driving through these residential neighborhoods, and that's without anybody behind him, without any black and whites, without any sirens going off. You obviously see he's aware of that night sun coming from up above. It's just a matter of time, but the way he's driving, the number one priority here is the concern for public safety, especially in these really tight neighborhoods with narrow streets. And again, he's got to be doing almost double the speed limit in some of these neighborhoods. These are very, very residential areas with speed limits not more than 25 miles per hour. He's just weaving his way through, and again, as I mentioned, by my observation, does not really have a clear indication on where he's going, just desperate to get around anybody in his way. We've seen a number of close calls. It wouldn't surprise me if he's even tapped a few of these vehicles along the way. We can't confirm any traffic collisions at this point, but the reckless nature of the driving and the haphazard nature of his driving, a willingness to go right into oncoming lanes of traffic right there over the dotted lines, and just to get away from really. Who's he getting away from? He's not going to get away from the helicopters overhead. He's got nobody behind him. He's just kind of squeezing through anywhere he can. There's an alleyway that he very well may find a spot, unless he's very familiar or has a destination in mind, which I don't think he does. It'll be interesting to see what he's doing in this alleyway. Maybe he's just trying to look for that hiding spot.
Right, and if he finds a place, officers on the ground will have to make a quick move to try to establish some sort of perimeter, because clearly he's going to take off. And it'll be interesting to see how successful he is. I mean, they have backed off of him, trying to get this guy to slow down and mellow out a little bit. However, as you said, that night sun overhead, he sees it. He knows he's being tracked by a helicopter and knows that the chase is not over, even if he doesn't see police cars behind him. And that continues on with the desperation.
Yeah, and to further the point, I think just based on that last couple of minutes, he's basically done a big loop around the neighborhood, kind of further emphasizing the fact that I just don't think he knows where he's going or where he wants to end up. Just kind of taking these turns as they come along, looking for the road less traveled with less traffic, and maybe a place to hide out. But at this rate, it's just a matter of time before he either hits something or somebody disables the vehicle. I just don't see him giving up any other way unless he finds a spot to ditch the vehicle and try and make a run for it. Again, this is apparently a stolen van out of West LA. Happened about just over an hour ago. LAPD's West LA and Pacific divisions have been involved in this pursuit for the better part of 40 minutes, and we've made our way down the 10 freeway into Culver City. You saw him get off as we joined you off the top of the show near Sunset Boulevard, weaving his way past UCLA, through Beverly Hills, and then ending up now back. This is going to be Park Avenue and East Boulevard, where, again, it's nothing but residential homes here, and maybe a driveway for him to, no, it's just another alleyway. Another alleyway, a very random turn there, coming out on McLaughlin Avenue. And again, just kind of making it up as he goes along here, even though he's well aware of that helicopter.
Looks like he might be trying to just get out of that night sun there, and the second he can get under a tree or some sort of cover, perhaps he's just looking for a little getaway. He can slip into an alleyway or a covered garage or something.
Yeah, I mean, you saw a couple of buildings. They may not have had the garage door open. That might have, it's hard to say. I haven't even seen many apartment complexes for him to have the opportunity to really pull in and hide. You see he's finding these alleyways, but he's not using the opportunity to dump the vehicle. Now here's another officer who's trying to keep, trying to keep up with the helicopter, who's calling the shots out from above, but all they could do is kind of surround the area until the watch commander gives the go-ahead to close in on him once again and try and bring this pursuit. First, you have to put it back into pursuit mode, hope that he gives up, but then you can maybe think about using a pit maneuver or setting up for a spike strip. But with this tactic, you don't have the luxury of using any of those things. You're just kind of hoping that he calms down, hoping he eases up on the gas pedal and finds himself in a dead end or, another way to bring this to an end. But you see, there are officers in this area, and you see the sirens on there. That tells me they may have given the go-ahead to put this back in pursuit mode. We'll see if they try and catch up with him here. But once he saw them, you saw that. Once he saw them, he definitely sped up right there. So he sped up he's on Washington Place, coming up on Grandview Boulevard, taking these intersections. That was a green light, but still taking that intersection in excess of 70 miles per hour down Washington Place through a red light here. No cross traffic, but again, that would be a very dangerous situation if there was anybody crossing that street. And you see him now doing whatever he can to get around this traffic, and that is most likely why they put it in tracking mode in the first place, because there is a sense that this driver is desperate and dangerous.
Yeah, and since he is so random about the way he is driving, they can't really set up ahead of him to set up a spike strip, and he's going way too fast. Pedestrians on the street.
People crossing, yep, people crossing the street. Very random turns, to your point, David, takes away the option of a spike strip. The only hope is that you can get a unit close enough, whether by happenstance or whether you triangulate a unit in here to get that pit maneuver. You know, if there's a possibility, if he slows down enough, you could try and, you know, fishtail the back end of that van. But again, those vans can behave very unpredictably too. So you have to have just the right conditions. If they can get somebody up behind them, just the right conditions without anybody, without any innocent pedestrians or any other bystanders in the way to try a pit maneuver on a van like that. But in the meantime, you can see the situation is getting darker as the sun has now gone down almost completely here, and he's basically relying on those street lights. And of course, law enforcement, they have the luxury of that nice and up ahead here, but we are in dangerous territory here as he continues to make his way closer to Mar Vista on Beethoven Street and just crossing Green Avenue. That will eventually put him back on Washington Boulevard or Venice Boulevard, and that'll at least provide him a major street to make a left or right on and get him out of these residential neighborhoods. As long as it's on these residential streets, you know, your heart just skips a beat with every intersection he comes up on there. You saw somebody right in the middle of the intersection. He just drove right through it anyways. Here's Panama Street, and that will crisscross with Washington in just a second. He is going to be coming up on Culver Boulevard. If he continues down this way, look at this, on a sidewalk.
Where?
Now he's on a sidewalk.
Interesting.
He's just looking. He was looking for that major.
Whoa.
He hit a dead end there. Was looking for a major street to try and get away. Was desperate enough to jump on that sidewalk, and he's just cutting through another residential neighborhood. Just a very dangerous situation for these officers.
We have not seen him hesitate. He's just been plowing through stop signs and stop lights and going tremendous speeds through these residential streets. And it makes your heart stop. You worry about the people that are.
There's the dead end. There's the dead end. He's in Del Rey here, coming up at the end of McConnell Avenue and Milton Street. You can see the suspect. He's got something in his left arm, jumping out of the vehicle, and he's running through a set of homes at the end of McConnell Avenue. That, I believe, is going to be a riverbed, if I'm not mistaken, on the other side of those homes right there, and we'll see if that night sun can track his movements. There he is. He's running down the bike path. That bike path parallels the riverbed there. He is running down that bike path, looking for a hiding spot, clutching something in his left hand. We're going to have to come around the other side, Josh. He's behind that tree, running down this bike path. He's going to run out of steam here. Looks like he's got a backpack. It's a backpack that he's now swung on his back as he ditched that vehicle, looking for a spot to hide at. Now I think he's going to call it quits here in just a second. Just a matter of time before they can get a unit in this area. But considering the fact that he is not near a major street, that's going to pose a challenge for those cruisers to get into this area here. Not a very easily accessible neighborhood, especially considering the terrain he's now climbing up to get to another street. That's going to be the 90 freeway. He's very close to the 90 freeway, so that might provide law enforcement an opportunity here, but he is definitely starting to run out of steam here, tripping as he climbs closer up this embankment towards, I think, the off-ramp of the 90 freeway at Culver Boulevard.
Oh, man.
Wow.
He's crossing the freeway. Crossing the 90 freeway without any hesitation. This guy is really unpredictable, and we're going to widen out for obvious reasons. This could get very ugly very quickly. We don't want to show anything too graphic. He was clearly desperate. Look at this, just jumping into traffic, into traffic on the 90 freeway with a very heavy backpack, it looks like, as he's come out the other side of the 90 freeway. He's crossed the freeway. LAPD surely alerting CHP. I could tell you from experience, CHP often keeps lots of officers on the 90 freeway. There are several speed traps over here, and he is kind of making his way down this embankment on the north side of the 90 freeway, looking for a spot to hide out. I can tell you there's also a number of homeless encampments within these trees as well. He almost appears more familiar with this trail back here than he did the actual surface streets that he was driving on, but it looks like he's coming up on a bicyclist, on the bike path, approaching that bicyclist, and now walking away. This is very, very dangerous.
Chris, did he give something to that bicyclist? It looks like he handed him something.
It looked like I thought he was maybe going to try try and commandeer the bicycle, but he is just kind of, looks like there is some communication going on there. I'm not sure if he handed him anything, but he's now walking back away from that bicycle path. Definitely slowing down. Hopefully that gives LAPD enough time to get somebody over here, but it's a tricky situation. They should have good eyes on him from above there, and that helicopter, I believe, is equipped with infrared. So they're going to track him through the woods here, just north of the 90 freeway, near Culver City, and he's just kind of going for a walk now, looking for a place to hide.
And he's got a fence there blocking him. He could either go out over it or around it. He does seem to be in a little bit of a no man's land. I really think he was trying to convince that biker to give him his bike to see if he could continue to get away. Obviously, the guy on the bike was not having it. And as you mentioned, the fact that they have infrared in the helicopter, more than likely, here comes police.
Yep. So police have now pulled up along the side, the shoulder of the 90 freeway, and now they're going to try and work their way through this vegetation to get towards that fence, get closer to that fence. They are about 100 feet away from him, so hopefully they can get eyes on him in a matter of seconds here and hopefully bring this to an end. I'm with you, David. I really was concerned for that bicyclist. I thought for sure he was going to try and steal that bike, especially considering the fact that you could tell he is running out of energy here. Now he, sure enough, has gone ahead and climbed over that fence, and it looks like he's having some more trouble. Looks like that is an embankment that he's encountered there. He's climbing up after jumping the fence with whatever steam he's got left here. He's still holding on, clutching onto that backpack for dear life as he makes his way back towards the bike path. It shouldn't be too much longer before those officers can climb through here, but of course they don't want to put themselves in any danger. And when you're climbing through there, you don't know exactly what you're going to encounter. They're going to do everything they can here. Fortunately, he is in an open space where that airship has good visibility on him, and they are going to use that night sun to follow him until those officers, those look like 3, perhaps CHP officers, that were able to pull over there. I can't tell for sure whether it's CHP or LAPD, but they look like CHP officers that are now, I don't know if they're going to try and jump that fence or if they're going to try and bring units in from a different angle here, but certainly it looks like they've got a good shot of him in this clearing.
Yeah, and he's exhausted too. I mean, he's barely moving now. He doesn't have a whole lot of fight left, and he's going up those steep hills. He may still be going uphill. It's so difficult to tell from, obviously through a camera that is overhead how steep a hill is, but he doesn't seem to be moving very fast either. So carrying that backpack, which does seem to be pretty heavy as well. Oh, did he drop it?
I think he abandoned it. Yeah, I think he abandoned the backpack, dropped it. It was too heavy for him. He was clutching onto it as long as he could, and now it's just a matter of looking for a spot to hide and get away here. I mean, he's just kind of meandering through here, and he likely knows how this is going to end at this point, but he's just, I mean, I can't tell. Can we widen out, Rob? I just want to see if those officers are making any attempt to come down here. It looks like there's a bicycle officer on that bike path. Here comes a black and white cruiser on the bike path, and that will put him much closer here, and hopefully that might be a fence. That officer might have to jump a fence, though, if he's going to get to him. That's a problem. So there's a fence dividing that bike path and this clearing.
And the flashlights on from that officer as well.
Yeah, officers coming out with their guns drawn. They obviously can see the suspect now, and we'll see if he decides to cooperate here despite that fence in the way. But I just don't think he's got more energy to put up a fight.
Right, and there's really nowhere for him to go. I mean, it's back into the woods where they have the light on him anyway. But he looks like he is trying to back away again.
Stubborn.
Yeah, here they come. They're gonna jump that fence. They're gonna jump the fence. This should come to an end here in the next few seconds. Officers jumping that fence, approaching that suspect from 2 different angles. Guns trained on that suspect, refusing to comply here, not showing those hands. They're going to tackle him to the ground, and that will be the end of this pursuit. I've got to tell you, though, Ellen and David, that car chase was just so stressful, so many close calls, such a dangerous driver behind the wheel. It could have been so much worse. So this really, despite the games at the end there, it couldn't turn out much better.
Yeah, thank goodness. Chris Christie and Air 7, you've been great. Thank you so much for that.
You got it.
All right. Well, while the rest of the country is frozen solid, we have it about, what, 72 degrees here? A pretty nice day.
And we're going to be close to 80, Ellen, on the 7-day forecast that we're going to show you in just a second. Beautiful sunset across Southern California tonight. 51 degrees at Riverside. It's only 49. Good afternoon to Victorville there. And downtown Los Angeles, 65. Here are the highs today. Pasadena checked in at 73. Irvine, what a day. And on the west side, UCLA 69. And Santa Monica, right there at the pier, was 61 degrees. And as we mentioned, those temperatures.
Copy that. Sure. Sounds good.